So after all these years, the 2020 C8 Corvette is finally here. And I encourage you, if you've not already, to check out the video I filmed at the actual reveal event. But I've been able to spend a fair amount of time with the vehicle, at least as much as anyone else has been able to. I've been able to touch the car inside and out, sit in the interior, push the buttons, and see what the C8's generally all about. I've basically done everything but drive the car. So, having said that, I want to go through some of the good things and the bad things Chevy and General Motors has done with the new C8 Corvette. The first good thing is definitely the engine. The engine in the new 2020 Corvette is called the LT2 V8 engine, 6.2 liters, naturally aspirated pushrod V8 based on the current LT1 engine. Now, everyone suspected that this new Corvette was going to feature a dual overhead cam V8 engine and possibly turbos, but I suspect the LT2 was the smart move. Being based on the LT1 is a known commodity. It's an engine they know is reliable, easily tunable to produce those power figures of 495 horsepower, and it's sort of that known cost. And then keeping with the pushrod V8 ultimately lowers the cost, which is a big factor of why I suspect C8 is going to be so successful. Also, you can't deny that the small block Chevy V8 just sounds really good. The next thing I think General Motors has done an excellent job on is obviously the exterior appearance of C8 Corvette. It gets people talking about the car, for better or worse. I'm in the camp where I think it looks really good, really purposeful and aggressive. But at the same time, you see people online in the real world debating the taillights, the headlights, the bumpers, the everything. I suspect that's a good thing for a sports car, almost supercar, because you want people to talk about your car, you want people to be interested in it. And I think people are definitely interested in the C8 Corvette inside and out. Speaking of that, the next good thing is definitely the interior of the car. Now again, this was an area that had people really divided when images initially leaked of the Corvette's new interior. It's very driver focused. It looks like a cockpit of a fighter jet almost, because everything's wrapped around the driver. That includes all the HVAC controls, which are on this center line that goes across the middle of the dash. And again, it's canted towards the driver, so if you're in the passenger seat, you really can't even see any of those buttons or anything. It's definitely different, but once you sit in the car and sit in the driver's seat, it all makes sense the way the buttons all fall to hand, things like that. It's actually way more intuitive than it looks, especially once you finally get in the car and drive it. The next good thing about the C8 Corvette is definitely the stated performance figures. I mean, with the switch to a mid-engine layout, Chevrolet had a lot to prove with the new Corvette. I think they've definitely done it, again, especially at that incredible price point, which we'll touch on more in a little bit. The quoted figures are this: 490 horsepower for the base Stingray, or 495 horsepower with the optional performance exhaust of the Z51 package, and 470 pound-feet of torque from, again, that naturally aspirated V8 engine. And when you pair that engine to the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, the car can do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, which is an incredible feat. And when it comes to good things, we have to wrap up with the price of the 2020 Corvette. I think everyone in the room at the reveal event was shocked. There was a gasp. There was a pause in the audience's murmurs when Mark Royce of General Motors announced the base price is going to be under $60,000 for the basic Stingray model.
I know many of you are wondering where the new Corvette will be priced. Yes. Yeah. While we're not ready to announce all the pricing details, no, hang on. What I can share with you tonight is this: when the 2020 Corvette Stingray goes on sale in the US, it will start at less than $60,000.
I think that's a massive achievement on the part of General Motors, because again, that shift to a mid-engine layout is usually so costly and so expensive, and all the engineering and development costs that go into making this new car. The fact that they're able to produce it for under $60,000, at least for the base model, is a really impressive feat, and credit has to be given there. So, a lot of good things happening with the 2020 Corvette, but there are a few things that are obviously not quite as good, at least in the eyes of a lot of enthusiasts. The first up is the big one. There is no manual transmission for a Corvette, and half the audience is with me here, and the other half's like, you're an old man, you're a stick in the mud. But Corvette is one of those brands where the take rate for manual transmission cars is actually pretty high. So I'm actually somewhat surprised they didn't announce that the car comes with a manual or a manual is coming. And I've actually heard through a source that no manual transmission is planned at least until 2024 or 2023 at the very earliest. That's what I've heard. And the transmission we do have is an 8-speed dual clutch automatic. It's something of an unknown variable at this point. We have no real experience with that transmission, how it works in other GM products, for example. We're gonna find out when we go drive the C8 Corvette in October or the end of this year. Though, to their credit, again, I suspect the only reason that they did just one transmission is again to keep the price point down, because the less options and like changes you make to the car, the cheaper it is to produce ultimately. You know, you have to think, every time you change the transmission in a car, you have to change like the floor plan or the basic structure of the car, so you have to have it re-crash certified, you have to have this whole new line of parts made. So again, keeping it simple has kept that price down low. And the same goes for that engine. I know people are really upset to not see a dual overhead cam, high RPM screaming V8, but again, the way it keeps that cost and that price point down ultimately benefits the enthusiasts. Now, the only other gripe I have with the C8 Corvette is that we don't have more information. General Motors was pretty coy at the reveal event to not give away any more facts, stats, or features than they wanted to tell us at that time. So we don't know how much the car weighs, though my educated guess, looking at the car, feeling around, kind of sitting in it, is I'm guessing it's right around 3,500 pounds. That's a guess. We also don't know specific pricing for everything. We know the base price is under $60,000. They showed off the optional Z51 performance package, which for now is the highest performance variant you can get of a C8 Corvette. And I suspect it'll be around $10,000 more, close to about $70,000. Make it about 80 once throwing a lot of options, which Corvette certainly has, at least for the interiors. They have all the different seating options, which is great. Z51 performance package, an array of different wheels, things like that. But I wish they did announce more specifics in that regard. And speaking of not announcing specifics, General Motors briefly hinted at a higher performance C8 Corvette in the pipeline. They showed a flash on the screen behind the reveal stage of a Corvette in camouflage that had a huge high-rise wing and a big splitter on it. It was really low to the ground that's going across the Nürburgring. So my suspicion is that a Z06 model, or maybe even a ZR1 model, is slated to return for the C8 Corvette. It seems like they're keeping with the C7's nomenclature of Stingray for the base car and the Z51 for the performance package, so it stands to reason that a high-performance Z06 model, or maybe even a ZR1 model, is coming in the future. And I guess it's good for them to hold secrets close to their chest, especially this early in the development cycle, but I just want to know more, and I'm sure you do too. Because leaks have been out there, and with Corvette, some of them have been really close and some of them have been way off the mark, but the ones I've seen indicate that twin turbos are coming to the C8 platform. I overheard an engineer briefly mention they were testing powertrains in excess of 800 horsepower. Of course, he wasn't supposed to say that out loud, and he got reprimanded by a PR rep as he noticed people were walking behind him, but that sounds like a really exciting place for the future of Corvette. Of course, that obviously means the Vette is going up market, at least if you buy the highly optioned versions of the car. I suspect that Z06 model is going to ring in over $100,000, but it will be the highest performing Corvette the world has ever seen. And that's what I've got for the C8 Corvette reveal. Overall, I'm really pleased with what Chevrolet has done with this car, especially the price point. That's definitely the biggest takeaway here. Offering a super high performance mid-engine sports car that offers that level of performance for under $60,000 starting is frankly a massive achievement, and congrats have to be given to General Motors for that. And for more news on the C8 Corvette, more hot takes, things of that nature, please stay tuned for future episodes, because I'm nerding out on this car as much as possible. I love it, I think it's great. It shows real promise for the future of Corvette. So, thanks for watching, see you next time. Bye.
Where else can you get a supercar that goes 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds for this kind of money? Unbelievable. We are just getting started with Corvette.
If you are one of those who like and enjoy driving, you owe it to yourself to drive this car.